Greetings and hello, my peeps. I guess I should say welcome. Now, this isn't a true episode of this particular walkthrough. This is more of an introduction to let you know what's going on. So, I have decided for my next walkthrough, I just finished Legend of Dragoon, which I was really excited on. I got the Platinum Trophy for the PS4, and I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go next. Now, I had said in like the very first Legend of Dragoon, I had thought about actually doing a walkthrough of Shadow Heart's Covenant, but after reviewing that game, I'm like, oh, it has, like, some parts has aged really well, and then a lot of, like, miscellaneous parts have aged really, really badly. So I'm like, okay, I need to go through another game so then I feel more comfortable and not nearly as cringy. And I still might do a walkthrough of Shadow Heart's Covenant just because I really do enjoy the story, but when I was reviewing it, like I said, some things just, it so did not age very well at all. So there is that. So I did decide this is the game we're going to do, which is Star Ocean, the Second Story R. Now, it is the second Star Ocean, the Second Story R, because this is on the PS4. It was released just last year in 2023 as Star Ocean, the Second Story R, because it's been I will say remastered. It's kind of funny because when you look for it, it only says R. It doesn't really say remastered. It doesn't say a remake. I just consider it a remastered because really none of the stories really changed. And if it was like so slight, it didn't really affect the main storyline. It didn't do anything to it. So I consider it a remastered because they have done a lot. Not so much if you look at the characters. Look at those pixels. But if you look to everything around it, they did a lot of stuff to actually improve all of the environment. The landscapes, the maps, everything like that. That's what they really did. And when I heard that it was going to do this, that it was going to update this, all the backgrounds and all that sort of stuff is going to be updated. But then the characters, they're not going to update that. I'm like, that's going to look so weird. But I really, really enjoyed it just because it doesn't look like anything. And I did play this on the PS1 version, so it's just really fun for me. And so I do apologize if you really don't agree with this, but it's really fun. There are a lot, this is just inside a castle. If you couldn't tell it was a castle, but just look at all the details. It's just really cool. I mean, there's tree here and it's dropping leaves. I don't see how it's that full if it's dropping that many leaves, but that's not beside the point. I'm not the person. And so it's just funny, you come across all these pixelated stuff, but then all of this is so detailed. It's just, like I said, it's just, it's not something I've ever come across before, and I'm really enjoying it. Now, the reason why I'm really doing the intro, not only to tell you a little bit just about the choice that I'm making, and I also wanted to say the biggest thing about Star Ocean 2, and of course that's Star Ocean 2R, you always have a lot of options of who you want to play with. Basically who you are going to recruit for your party. You can have a total of 8 people in your party. Now, I do say 8, but it's really just 6 because you do have to have, and let me get to the main menu here. It's called the camp menu, but I always call it the main menu. Sorry. So in the camp menu, let's see if I can remember that. In the camp menu, you can see the first person is Reyna. She is currently the leader. She is the person that I started out with. And what I mean by started out with, you can select either you're going to start playing as Reyna, although I will say Rena a lot because if I'm looking at how you spell her name, I'll say Rena. but it's like you do have voice acting in here, and they always say Reina. So yeah, I get confused. So you can either start out as Reina or Claude, who's the blonde. And I will go a little bit more into detail about them, but that's your first choice. When you start the game, that's your choice. Now, depending on how you choose, the point of view changes. Not that the main stories change at all, but if, like the first really big thing is how you actually start the story. If you start as Reina, you're on this planet, you're coming out of your house, and you're going to go and visit the forest. And you do that every day. And then suddenly, a beast attacks you, but this person is telling you, oh, be careful, run, all that sort of stuff. And then you meet up with this blonde dude that's there. Now, on Claude's version, you find out he's from Earth. He's actually, he's kind of like more of a Star Trek environment. He is going to school to be a lieutenant, or actually he's an ensign right now, and going through all this sort of stuff. And then they go to a planet because they were searching, and of course the scanners found something weird, and so they were investigating it. And of course Claude gets too close to something, and he is transported. And he finds out that he can't use his communicator, because of course he has a communicator. He went down on the planet too. So yeah, he has a communicator, but he can't actually... He uses it, but it's as if it's out of range. And so then he is just walking through the forest. He sees Reina. He, is looking to actually go talk to her because he has no idea where he is. And then, of course, he sees the enemy come, and he's like, stop, no! And so, again, it's the different points of views. And it happens not a lot, but quite often in the stories. And it's really neat because you're then like, oh, this is a different thing. So you can easily play this twice, once as Reina and once as Claude. And even though you know how the story ends, it still feels really different. So that's just what I want to say about that. So the other thing you can do, and I will freely admit I won't do it that much, if you go down here to Tactics, Party Formation, you can actually change who is the leader. Now, what does that do? That will just make it so then when I go, look, I'm now running around as Claude. Can I make Celine do that? Now, she is currently part of my permanent party. If she was a temporary, a temporary party member, which she is when you first meet her and have her join. But I can actually go ahead and say, yeah, let's have Celine be the leader. And now I'll run around as her. So it's kind of cool. So again, lots and lots of options. Again, if you go down here, party formation, you can also make it so then if I only want Reina, although I'll change her back to the leader. If I only want Reina to actually be running around on the map or anything, and I can only have her, even though I have Claude and Celine. So again, lots and tons of options. So along with being able to really say who's in your party at a time, you can have a total of 8 characters. And there is actually a total, I know I already said that you can have a total of 8, but there are, for options, there are a total of 13 characters that you can go ahead and choose. Really, it's only a total of 6 that you can choose because Reina and Claude, you get no matter what. You have to keep those. Now, in your battle party, that's completely different, but as your permanent party members, you have a total of 6 that you can go ahead and choose. So again, Claude and Reina have to have. Celine, this is the first the possible member that you can recruit. I did go ahead and do that because there are certain stories that are great. Now, Reina and Celine, they are both, I'll say, a magician class. I don't care if you call it wizard, sorcerer, anything like that. But I'm just going to call them the magician class, which means, of course, they are more proficient in spells. And Claude, he is a more physical warrior class. And there are some that overlap. I mean, there are like two male characters that are in that magician class, but most of them are actually going to be more of the warrior class, of course. Although you can say the same thing for the ladies. Not all of the ladies that you can possibly recruit are magician class. They are going, like, some of them are very much, warrior class. And so, of course, depending on how you equip them and how your personal style is, you can use them differently. Reyna, she's always a physical type for me, a physical class for me. Yes, her unique capability is that she can heal. That's not something that anyone has actually ever seen or can do, because for Selene, in order to be able to do her her magician class stuff, she has to use runes. Reyna doesn't need to. So, yeah, there's a question mark there, and yes, you find out the answer. But yeah. So Selene is going to be next. The people I have chosen that I'm going to do for my walkthrough is going to be, of course, Reyna, Claude, and I will do Selene. Selene isn't the best magician type character. She's really, really good at the beginning, and then kind of, teeters off at the end. She's kind of like Rose from The Legend of Dragoon. Starts out really strong, really helpful, really powerful, and then, we get other characters, and then her usefulness kind of goes away. But you can still have her. You can do some really fun things with her in regards to, okay, so she's in my team. How am I going to actually keep her, useful for a time? The next person that I'll get is actually Opera. That is a lady. She is definitely more of the warrior class than anything. But unlike pretty much everyone else, other than the magician class, she is a physical warrior class that can actually do long range. She uses a bazooka. I like her a lot. Okay, so then the next person I'm going to do is Welsh. She is a character that I have never seen before. I have played Star Ocean 2, I've played Star Ocean 3, and unfortunately that's about it. So there are definitely other Star Oceans in the actual franchise, but those are really the only two that I've ever done myself. So I've never seen Welsh that I'm aware of. Or if she was in 3, I guess I just didn't use her at all. But she is someone that is kind of a recurring character, especially when they're remaking things or remastering things. She suddenly pops in as a possible character that you can go ahead and recruit. She's a little funny because I would say that she is in the warrior class, but her actual equipment... I don't want to go there. I want to have the list. She uses sticks. So yeah. But yeah, I want to use her because, again, this will be really the first time I've seen her anywhere, and we'll see how good she is. The next person that I will recruit is going to be Precious. Precious? Yeah, I always call her Precious, just because I think it's Precious, which sounds like a priest or a car, I don't know. But I always call her Precious, so I do apologize, but that it's going to happen. The next person that I'll actually recruit is going to be Ernest. Ernest is Opera's significant other, although I do not think that Opera is Ernest's significant other. But yeah, they came from the same planet. She's looking for Ernest. So yeah, that's at least the beginning story of that. There's more, but I'm not going to spoil everything. So then the last person, the 8th person I'm going to get on my team, is going to be Diaz. And he is an of course and always for me. He is definitely warrior class. He can use a lot of the same swords that Claude can. Now, the thing about when you're deciding what characters you're going to have in your game, there are a lot of things that you have to kind of choose. So I am going to get Celine, which is fine. There's really no, if you do that, you can't do that. But for really the next character that you would be able to recruit is going to be Ashton. Ashton is, oh, I love his story. He has a couple really good kind of specialized missions that you can do with him. I really like them, although he does, at least for storyline, he doesn't get anything else. Pretty much once you leave this continent, this first continent, he doesn't really do anything. He doesn't have any other stories, which is kind of sad because I love him as just playing him. But if you want Ashton, you can't have Opera. So you have to choose between one or the other. Another one that you have to choose on which one you're going to do would be Precious. Precious, if you want her, you can't have Bowman, which is another character that you actually get in the same exact town. So you do have to be careful who you talk with first. And then I said I was going to also get Ernest. Now, if you want Ernest, you have to get Opera, because if you do not get Opera, you don't do the steps, so then you can get Ernest. And I also said I really wanted Diaz, because I always select Diaz. With Diaz, he is only a character that you can actually recruit if you are Rena. I said it again, Rena. Sorry, I was reading R-E-N-A. So when you're playing Reyna, who is more of the magician type, Diaz is very much the warrior type. So that makes sense. Now for Claude, who can he have? Claude, of course, is a warrior type, so he is able to recruit a magician character named Leon. And you do meet both the characters. Even if you are Reyna, you will meet Leon. You just won't ever have the opportunity to recruit him. Same thing if you're playing as Claude. You will definitely meet Diaz, but you will never have the opportunity to ever recruit him. So there are kind of a lot of those, which is why you do usually want to plan who you want in your team before you actually do go very far in the game. So definitely watch YouTube tutorials, not so much like walkthroughs, but there are a lot of, who's the best character, or just how do you recruit all characters, and you can actually see a lot of those. The other members that I am not going to touch, I've already mentioned pretty much all of them, except for the last characters that you can do. So I talked about Ashton. Ashton, if you want him, you can't have Opera. If you want Bowman, then you can't recruit Precious. If you want Leon, then you have to be playing as Claude as your main character. The other two characters that you can get is actually a magician very similar to Reyna, is Noel. Or Noel, it depends on how you want to say it. In the game, the voice actors call him Noel. And then you also, the last person that you can get is Chisato. She is actually a really fun character for me. So I still am not 100% sure. I'm still not going to get Ashton, even though I'm a little sad about that. But I might change Welsh. I might not get her. I might actually go for Chisato, just because she's one I've always played. She's one I've always recruited when I was on the PS1. So I might change if I get Welsh, but if I don't get her, then I will be getting Chisato. But she is way later in the game, so there's pluses and minuses to that. I do love this game because it is extremely easy to get overpowered very early in the game. Not so much by gaining so much full, which is gold in this case, that has nothing to do with it, really. But if I go into equipment, I have a Sorcerer's Knuckles. And the Brass Knuckles, which was the first thing I was actually equipped with, the attack is 109. Sorcerer, 1,079. Egad. But I got it before I actually went into Cross Cave. And if you're doing the storyline, and you'll see in my walkthrough, that's really, really early in the game. I also have the same thing kind of for Claude. Longsword, you start with 143 attack. With the Sword of Marvels, it's 1,213. So yeah, it is really, really easy. Pretty much I am good, definitely, in this entire continent. I'm fine. I'll be okay. Yes, I'll have to be careful in some places, but not in the first continent, not really. Like when I want to get Opera, that's something different because that's going into places that's not available until after you've gone to the second continent. But definitely until I get there, yeah, there's nothing that I have to really worry about. Yes, I do like this game so much. And there is so much stuff that you can do. You have specialities, and with this, there are many different levels. So that was, skill set 1. But when you do skill set... Actually, yeah. When you're doing skill set 1, you actually... If you have customization, that is actually... if you do the eye for detail, the smithing, and then the aesthetic design, which is actually on the first one, you actually unlock a second level speciality. And then, of course, you have to have another one, a super speciality. So it's so layered. It's not only just doing this, it's not just doing that. It's really, really, it has so many layers to it. So it's a lot. So it's really, really fun, just because it is so many things. You have even things like the missions, which just going through... I've done quite a bit, and it's really nice. You don't have to do anything for these challenge missions. They're automatically, once you have basically talked to the king in Cross. Where's that? I know you'll come to it later, but then you'll be able to see how many of these you've already finished without even realizing it. And each one of these, you basically get rewards. And like I said, this is just doing it like fight 10 battles. I had that by the time I got to Cross, and so once I had access to this, I automatically got 200 full and 5 battle points. And so yeah, and sometimes you can actually get accessories, a lot of the beginning stuff is really just a little bit of full and some... I love the SP, which is skill points in this one. It's not spiritual power like it is in Legend of Dragoon. But again, these have different levels. You had beginner, expert, specialist, and then legend. These ones, of course, are very hard to get. The beginner ones, you'll probably just, stumble across it when you're just doing the game. But yeah, so there is, like I said, there's so much stuff. And guild missions, I'll go over that in the walkthrough, but you do have lots of options to basically get items and more rewards, which is really, really good. You always want to look at the missions and see if you can actually go ahead and do that. For status, what I will go over is friendship level. Talents, I will go over that way more in the way through the walkthrough. And in the walkthrough, I will go over all the talents, but here I want to go over the friendship levels because I don't really go over that just because honestly in Star Ocean, the second story R, this friendship levels, you don't have to worry. It is so easy to see if you've affected it, how much, how little you have. Now, if you notice, each person has a different level. It will actually affect kind of two things. One is battles. Two is the endings. What? Endings? Yeah, we'll get to that. So what I mean by battles, in this case, they're all like maybe a heart. You're not really that good of friends with Selene yet, but that's okay. It's the very beginning. The higher or the more hearts you have, basically the more that person that has that affection for you will try to do things. So if you're getting hit by an enemy, what that person will do, if they're really high in regards to lots of hearts, if you have 5 full hearts, they'll actually stop. They'll actually try to, either if it's Selene, she'll do spells to try to help you out in your battle. Claude, he'll stop fighting that one enemy and come over and help you. If you say die, then you'll probably hear Reyna! So you'll have something like that. So again, like storyline, not really going to do anything except, and there's always an except, the endings. So Star Ocean is also unique that each person will have a story, that will have an ending. So if Selene and Reyna both have 5 hearts for each other, is it going to be romance? No, it's not. Like I said, it's really just they still, at the end of the game, you'll see them together and they'll have a conversation. That's it. Unfortunately, that's the same for girls and guys. So when I do have them both have a total of 5 hearts, he's back in the same hometown with Reyna, and they're going to go and do something for the children. Now, it doesn't sound like it's their children, but they're going to go and help out with school or something like that. So in most cases, it's more just them still having conversations, doing stuff together. So that's the friendship level. Favorite food, which is not something I really went over. It's something that if you have it, all of the food has, if I go over here, if I go over to the food, all of them has, like, the rabbit risotto. You can recover 35% HP, 1 ally. Now, if it's a favorite food of a person, it will actually say that it's your favorite food. And if I go to status and I actually go to Selene, you'll actually be able to see it's a favorite food. But it is nice that even if I hadn't, so she has basically already used that item. For her, that will, I would say, because I haven't really tested it when her HP is really low, but that usually does 100% restore for her MP and her HP, which is really, really nice. It is only one of the favorite foods, and every character has a different favorite food, because again, levels. So it's really, really cool. Lots and lots of stuff to this particular game. And I am really, really looking forward to actually showing you guys and going through the walkthrough. But, like I said, so many layers, I wanted to make sure I explain it. So yeah, I will see you in the first episode of the Star Ocean Second Story R. Bye!